My name is James, and I'm 28 years old. I graduated from medical school last month, top of my class, standing there in my cap and gown, diploma in hand. I should have felt on top of the world. Instead, when I looked at the VIP seating I had reserved for my family, 12 padded chairs with gold-lettered name cards, I saw nothing but empty seats. Not one of them showed up. Not my mom, not my stepdad, not my little sister, not even my Aunt Susan, who swore she would not miss it for anything. It turns out anything was a Royal Caribbean cruise to the Florida Keys. Let me back up. I was not born into a family that celebrates academic success. If you brought home straight A's, you were either trying too hard or making everyone else feel dumb. That was the attitude. My mom used to say things like, "Nobody likes a show-off, James," when I came home with a perfect report card, or, "Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, does this mean you think you are better than us now?" When I talked about wanting to be a doctor someday, it was not just her. My stepdad, Mike, who I swear took pride in being the loudest guy in any room with the least to say, used to joke, "I do not trust any man who cannot change his own oil." Medicine, in his eyes, was book stuff, and book stuff was for people who could not handle the real world. But I did not care. I was stubborn. I studied like my life depended on it. When I got into medical school on a scholarship, I did not expect a parade, but I thought, just maybe, they would be proud. Instead, my mom asked why I did not become a nurse like her friend's daughter. "It is shorter, and you still wear scrubs." Still, I tried over the year, quoi. I kept inviting them to milestones, white coat ceremony, clerkship match day, residency interviews. Every time. It was the same flights were too expensive. They had a lot going on that week. Or, you know how Mike feels about big cities. I stopped pushing after a while. I sent updates through the family group chat, usually met with radio silence, or the occasional thumbs up from my little sister, who was the only one who did not seem completely jaded. Graduation was supposed to be different. This was not just about me. It was the culmination of 8 years of non-stop grind. I worked night shifts, studied through holidays, missed birthdays and funerals. I slept in my car more times than I care to admit because I could not afford rent and gas. So, when I got my residency offer at a prestigious hospital and found out I would be giving a speech at the ceremony, I decided to go all in. I spent $12,000 of my own savings to fly everyone in first-class tickets for my mom and Mike, a hotel suite near campus with a view of the Charles River, catered dinner reservations, and custom programs with their names listed as honored guests. I even had a florist create centerpieces in my mom's favorite colors. I imagined her tearing up when she saw my name in the program, maybe telling me she was proud for the first time in my adult life. The day before the ceremony, I called to confirm their flights. No answer. I texted. Nothing. That night, as I reviewed my speech for the 100th time, my phone lit up. First came a message from my mom. "James, we are not coming. Watching you pretend to be a doctor sounds painful. We booked a cruise instead. Enjoy your fake moment." Then one from Aunt Susan, who once told me I was like a son to her. "We would rather be somewhere worth celebrating. You know how boring those things are. No apology, no hesitation, just that." I stared at my screen so long, the brightness started to burn. I did not cry, scream, or throw my phone. I just sat there, blinking at their words, feeling something in me quietly break. The next morning, I stood on stage and gave my speech. People clapped. I smiled. But my eyes kept drifting to those front row seats. those beautiful velvet-lined chairs, with the names of people who clearly did not think I was worth the trip. People who had spent my entire life trying to shrink me down to their size. Later that evening, after the post-graduation dinner and photo ops, after I had shaken hands, signed programs, and hugged friends and professors whose support meant more than they knew, I walked into my suite, closed the door, and finally let myself feel it, not just the hurt, but the betrayal, the humiliation, the ache of knowing I had handed my family this incredible moment on a silver platter, and they threw it in the ocean. I did not reply to their texts or call back when my mom left a casual voicemail 2 days later saying, "Hope it went well. Send pics if you can." Instead, I made 2 decisions. First, I had the university print a second ceremonial copy of my diploma. I bought a sleek black frame, wrapped it in gold paper, and mailed it to my mother's address, along with an 8x10 photo of those 12 empty seats lined up perfectly under a banner that read, "Reserved for the family of Dr. James L." Second, I made one more change, something none of them would see coming. About 3 hours after that package landed at my mom's house, my phone started buzzing calls, texts, voicemails. One from Mike just said, "You are being dramatic, kid." One from my aunt said, "This is beyond petty." But it was my mom's voicemail, where she sobbed so hard her words came out choked, that made me pause. She said, "Please, I did not know it would hurt you like this. I thought you knew we were just joking. Please, call me." I stopped listening halfway through, around the part where she said, "We did not think it would matter that much." That one sentence, so clueless, so painfully dismissive, told me everything I needed to know. They still did not get it. They never had. So, I did not call her back or respond to any of them. Instead, I turned off my phone and sat quietly at my kitchen table, flipping through the printed photo I had taken just before the ceremony. 12 empty chairs in a perfect row, their names taped to the backrests like a punchline. That is when I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account, and started making changes. Part of the reason I could afford to fly them all in, first class no less, was a modest inheritance I had received from my grandmother, Margaret L. She passed away during my second year of medical school. She was not wealthy, but she left me $60,000 in a joint account. My name was added to when I turned 18. She always told me, "Do not waste this on bills or nonsense. Use it when the time is right to do something that matters." Over the past 2 years, I had tapped into it sparingly. A small portion covered part of my rent during my first hospital rotation. Another chunk went toward flights for interviews. But the biggest amount I saved, intending it for something important, something I could build with. I had started dreaming about opening a small clinic in underserved areas in inner-city Boston. It was not much yet, but the beginnings were there. What my family did not know was that, in her will, my grandmother had initially intended to split the inheritance 3 ways between me, my mom, and my aunt. But a year before her death, after watching how my mom treated me during a holiday visit, she quietly changed it. No drama. She just rewrote the documents, removed their names, and left it all to me. "You are the only one I trust to do something good with it," she said. "They will only waste it." Because the account was set up jointly with my mom when I was a teenager, she wrongly assumed she still had access to it. In fact, she had been telling people for months that when James becomes a doctor, they would finally do that kitchen remodel. I did not think much of it, until I found out through my cousin that my mom and Mike had scheduled a contractor visit for the same week as my graduation. That contractor never showed up. Why, because, after I returned from graduation, I transferred every cent of that account into a new one solely under my name. I closed the old one permanently. Then, for good measure, I donated a portion of what was left to the clinic I hope to one day join, sending them a note with my name and graduation photo. I figured if I could not get my family to celebrate my success, I would at least use the fallout to help someone else who needed a win. It did not take long for the calls to start again. This time, they were not just sad. They were angry. Furious, even. Mike was the first to call, screaming, "That was your mother's account. She has had her name on it since you were a kid. That money was meant for the family." I did not flinch. "You are right," I said. "It was meant for the family, but I guess you decided a cruise was more important than the family member who made it possible." Click. Then came Aunt Susan, her voice shrill with disbelief. "Do you have any idea what you have done? Your mother is beside herself," they all kept saying. "We did not think. We did not think. We did not think." Exactly. They did not think about what it meant to stand alone at the biggest milestone of my life. Not about what it meant to pour thousands into making a moment special just for them to laugh it off like I was some kid playing dress-up. They did not think about the years I spent earning it, the pride I should have felt, or the little boy in me who still wanted to hear someone say, "We are proud of you." Instead, I heard silence, followed by mockery, followed by disappointment wrapped in entitlement. So, I did not feel guilty for shutting the door. I did not regret sending that diploma and the photo of their seats. And I certainly did not regret what I did next. The final thing I did was change the beneficiary on all my accounts legal, medical, emergency contacts, the whole deal. I named someone else my best friend, Ethan, who stayed up with me through exam nights, ran mock interviews with me on his days off, flew himself across the country, bought his own suit, and showed up to graduation holding a sign that said, "Proud of my brother, Dr. James L." I took him out to dinner the night after the ceremony and handed him a sealed envelope. Inside was a copy of the legal paperwork. He blinked at it. "What is this?" I smiled. "It is me choosing my real family." He did not say anything, just sat there quietly holding the envelope, his eyes a little red. Meanwhile, my mom kept calling. She left one last voicemail, voice cracking, angry and sad all at once. "You think money makes you better than us. You think your little degree erases your roots. We are still your family, James, no matter how far you run." But she was wrong. Family is not blood. It is not who raises you. It is who stands by you when you have nothing, who claps the loudest when you finally have something to show for it, and, most of all, who does not disappear when the spotlight turns on you. They disappeared, so I moved forward. It was a Thursday evening, 2 weeks after graduation. When I heard the knock, I had just gotten home from a residency orientation meeting, still in my white coat, stethoscope dangling around my neck like a statement I no longer had to make. My apartment was quiet, warm with the smell of the takeout I had just unpacked, and, for the first time in months, I was looking forward to a peaceful night alone. Then came the knock, not loud, not desperate, just confident, like whoever was on the other side assumed they had the right to be there. I opened the door halfway, and there she was, my mother. Her hair was windswept, her cheeks red from either the wind or anger, probably both. Behind her, Standing awkwardly on the landing was Mike, arms crossed, eyes scanning the hall like he expected security to jump out at any moment. My stomach dropped, but I did not move or say anything. My mother blinked at me, and for a moment, it was like she did not recognize me. Maybe it was the coat, the quiet, or the fact that I did not immediately open the door wider, like I used to when I was still trying to earn a sliver of her approval. She cleared her throat. "James, can we come in?" I tilted my head. "Why?" She looked startled, like the question itself was offensive. "Because we need to talk. In private. Face to face." I stepped into the doorway, blocking it fully. "We could have done that 2 weeks ago at graduation," Mike snorted. "Come on, man. Are you still holding on to that? It is not like we did not congratulate you." "No," I said calmly. "You ridiculed me, then prioritized a Florida Keys buffet over showing up for your own son." My mother's eyes flared. "That is not fair. You did not even give us time to explain." I raised an eyebrow. "You sent me a text that said, 'Watching you pretend to be a doctor sounds painful.' What exactly was I supposed to wait for the punchline?" Mike stepped forward, his voice rising. "You are being petty. That money was not yours to touch." "There it is," I muttered, almost smiling. "This is not about showing up. It is about the inheritance." My mom's lips tightened. "We thought we could use some of it for the remodel. Your grandma would have wanted the family to enjoy it together." "You mean like she enjoyed being iced out by you after she got sick?" I asked, my voice sharp now. "Or how she had to move in with a friend because you did not want to deal with her medication schedule." My mom flinched. She had not expected that, but I was not finished. "She changed the will because she saw what I did, not that you only show up when there is something to take. Not to support. Not to encourage. Just to grab what is left." Mike's arms uncrossed, and he stepped forward again, his voice low and angry. "You think you are so righteous. Do you not, just because you got some fancy degree? You think you are above us?" I stared him down. "No, I think I finally see you clearly, and I am done pretending you are anything more than what you have shown yourselves to be." My mom's voice cracked. "James, please, you are still our son." "That is funny," I said, crossing my arms. "Because 2 weeks ago you were telling me I was pretending to be a doctor, but now that there is no check coming, I am suddenly worth a visit." She opened her mouth, but no words came. Just guilt. Maybe shame. It flickered in her eyes for a second, but not long enough to matter. I stepped back and closed the door halfway. "You flew across the country for this," I said softly, "but could not make it across a stage for me. That tells me everything I need to know." She stepped forward, almost like she might push the door, but stopped herself. Her voice came out small. "Cannot we just start over?" I paused, then said, "We already did. I just started without you." And I closed the door. I did not cry. I did not smile either. I just stood there, listening to the silence on the other side until their footsteps faded down the hall. The fallout did not end there. Of course, word got around the family fast. My aunt told her sisters, who told their husbands, who told my cousins. Some called me a genius, others called me cruel. My cousin Ryan texted me, "You did what we all wish we had the guts to do." But not everyone was on my side. There were group chats I was removed from, Facebook posts I was not tagged in, my mom's side of the family, those who never liked Grandma anyway, started acting like I had robbed a sacred family vault. I got a message from one uncle I had not spoken to in 5 years that just said, "You will regret this. Blood is blood." But I did not regret it. I went to work. I wore my white coat with pride. I hung my diploma on the wall, not the one I mailed my mom, but a new one, framed with a photo of me and Ethan beneath it, both grinning like fools in front of the university banner. And I kept building. 3 years passed. In that time, I completed the hardest years of my life as a medical resident on shift that stretched into 48 hours. Missed birthdays, missed holidays, missed sleep. But I grew. I healed patients, held hands with the dying and the scared, cried in elevators, laughed in break rooms at 3 a.m. I saw things I cannot unsee, and I became a doctor not just in title, but in spirit. The kind of doctor who does not flinch, who stands his ground, who listens before speaking, and who speaks with intention when he does. While my professional life was growing, so was something else, that tiny idea I had planted after graduation. With Ethan's help and some generous donors, I met through residency. I opened a small community clinic on the edge of inner-city Boston. It was not flashy, 1 floor, 5 room, 2 doctors, a nurse, and a volunteer desk, but it was ours. A place where no one asked if you had insurance first. A place where we kept the lights on late because people do not stop getting sick after 5 p.m. I named it after my grandmother, the Margaret L. Wellness Center. Her photo hung in the lobby. And every day I walked in, I felt grounded. I rarely thought of my family anymore. It was not even avoidance. It was just peace. The kind that comes when you stop chasing something that was never running toward you in the first place. But peace has a way of being interrupted. It was late October when the email came. Subject: family reunion. 75th birthday for Uncle Tom. The message was sent to a long CC list, but it began with a chipper. Hey everyone, hope you are all doing great. We are putting together something special for Uncle Tom's 75th potluck-style backyard bash. You know how it goes. I almost deleted it on sight, but then I noticed something at the bottom, tacked on almost as an afterthought. P.M. James, we all really hope you come. It has been too long. Your mom said she misses you. It was not signed by my mom. It was signed by my cousin Emma, the family diplomat. I did not reply. 2 days later, a handwritten letter showed up at the clinic. No return address. In neat cursive I had not seen in years. James, I know I am the last person you want to hear from, and maybe I do not deserve to ask for anything, but if you can find it in your heart to come, I would be grateful. Not to talk about the past, not to argue, just to see you, just to see my son again. I have changed. I swear I have. I know it is late, but I am still your mother. Love, Mom. She underlined love twice. I stared at that word for a long time, then folded the letter, slipped it back in the envelope, and tucked it in a drawer I had not opened in over a year, the one where I kept the photo of the empty chairs from graduation. I did not look at the photo. I just closed the drawer again, and I went. I do not fully know why curiosity. Maybe. Or a desire to finally close a door properly. Not slam it, not bolt it, just close it. The reunion was at a community center in suburban Chicago. Balloons, cheap catering, plastic tablecloths, exactly the kind of thing my family loved. The parking lot was already full by the time I arrived. I stepped out of my car in a crisp button-up and slacks and felt the fall wind bite through the air. Inside, it was noisy kids running, people laughing, the DJ playing a too loud oldies playlist, and someone had already spilled punch on the gift table the moment I stepped inside. Heads turned. There was a beat of silence, a collective intake of breath, as if seeing me triggered some ancient family muscle memory. Someone whispered, "Is that James?" I just nodded politely and moved toward the back wall. I did not come for small talk. I came to see if there was anything worth salvaging. Then I saw her. My mother. She looked older, softer around the edges, less put together than I remembered. Her hair was streaked with silver, and she wore a pale blue cardigan over a dress that did not quite fit right. Her eyes locked on mine, like she was afraid I might vanish. "James," she breathed. "Hi," I said. She took a step forward. "You came." I did. Tears sprang up instantly, like she had been holding them in for 3 years. "I did not know if you would even open the letter." I waited for an apology, for ownership, for something more than guilt. Instead, she reached for my hand. "I have missed you so much." I gently stepped back. "You missed the chance to show up when it mattered." She flinched. "I am not here to fight," I added. "I just wanted you to see me, not out of spite, just so you know that I am doing fine without your support, without the money you expected, without any of the things you thought I needed you for." A pause. She lowered her eyes. "I deserve that." "Yes," I said simply. "You did." Then I handed her a small envelope. Inside was a folded pamphlet for the Margaret Ello Wellness Center, with a handwritten note that said, "In case you ever want to understand what I have been building and why I stopped waiting for you to be proud of me." She took it with shaking hands. I did not linger. I stayed long enough to greet Uncle Tom, long enough to prove that I was not hiding, that I had grown roots without them, that I had built something out of the very silence they left me in. As I walked back to my car, someone called out behind me. It was Ethan. I did not invite him. He just showed up, said he figured I should not have to face them alone. He held up a coffee from our favorite place and said, "I figured you would want an exit drink." I laughed for the first time that day. "Let us go," I said. "I have clinic work in the morning." As we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror one last time. My mother stood at the doorway of the community center, pamphlet pressed to her chest, eyes locked on the car as it disappeared down the road. She did not wave. Neither did I. Because some endings do not need closure, they just need peace. And I finally had mine.